I know we talked a little bit about this earlier today, Pony, at 4 o'clock, possibly Ron Hextall being the next general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, former Flyer goalie, also their general manager who didn't end up, it didn't go so well for him out there in Philadelphia. What do you make of the Penguins potentially bringing in a guy that's so ingrained in the Philadelphia Flyer organization?
Yeah, I mean, you've had guys like Rick Tocchet that have come over from the Flyers, you know, in terms of their playing days and helped the Penguins win Stanley Cup. So, you know, look, it's definitely unusual. I don't think there's any way around that. You know, I think that guys that are in their second stint as a general manager, I think there's a lot of value there. It seems to be like in a lot of coaching and general manager circles, when somebody's on their second job, they perform better. But Hextall did not really wow people in Philadelphia. In fact, he got fired because he was too conservative. So, you know, what are the Penguins going for right now, Richie? You know, to bring in a conservative general manager, a guy that doesn't like to trade prospects and picks, well, in a way, actually, Richie, as I say this out loud, I kind of think the Penguins might need that. You know, at some point, you got to start to keep these first-round picks, right? And start to think.
What young talent do they have right now coming up?
Well, that's what I mean. You got to start to stockpile some of it and start to count on and believe in some of those guys to come through your minor leagues and your system and to produce. I mean, that's how they won 2 Stanley Cups.
But don't you do that, Pony, after the windows, close? Like, we talked to David Morehouse last week or a couple weeks ago about this when Rutherford resigned, and he said the window's still open. They're still going to try to be aggressive. I mean, I agree with you, but I agree with you after Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, their era is done here.
Yeah, but if not for Jake Gensel and Brian Rust and Matt Murray and these guys that were through the Penguins pipeline, they don't win back-to-back Stanley Cups. I mean, you've got to develop your own players. And you've got to, even if you're in a win-now mode, you know, you've got to have players that come up at a very affordable price and produce for you. And so at some point, the Penguins, now that Jim Rutherford's out, have to start to lean on those guys a little bit more, and maybe Ron Hextall is the type of general manager that would give them the confidence to do that.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We got Jerry out in Hempfield. How you doing, Jerry?
Hey, Jerry.
Rich. Hey, Stallion. Hey, Rich, this will probably be the last time I talk to you till the end of the year. But I want you to know that when I talked to you at the beginning of the year, I told you.
End of the year? It's February. It's the first week of February. We got 10 more months, Jerry.
Yeah. I told you that the Steelers weren't a good team. They were lucky. They were. I told everybody they'd lose the last 6 games. They lost 5, and I won 5 steak dinners at the Longhorn Steakhouse. I bet they'd lose the last 6 games. And I told you if they make the playoffs, they're going to lose, and they did. Now, you said you was optimistic when they was like 11-0. I said, no, don't pay no mind to that. Now, as for signing Roethlisberger, that's the worst thing in the world. They couldn't. Do you think they're going to go to the Super Bowl with him? They couldn't go there when they had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. They got a bad team. They're interchangeable with the Pirates right now. They're both bad. So
I don't think the Steelers are bad, but I want to agree with you, Jerry, here on the Ben Roethlisberger point. Also, I think Pony should call you weekly during football season and get your picks.
Because I was right.
I could use them.
Didn't I tell you what happened?
Yeah, you did. You did, Jerry. I appreciate the call.
Well, why we got to get his Super Bowl pick? He just hung up. I would have liked that betting information.
Well,
Richie.
That would be good. I like Tampa, by the way. I mean, if we're going to do our picks.
So do I.
I like Tampa.
So do I. Look, the Steelers right now, even the odds makers for next year have them as the 16th team to win the Super Bowl. So they're right in the middle. They're average. On paper, they look like a mediocre team for next year. There's not a lot of buzz around the Steelers for 2021 because their quarterback is so old, fell apart down the stretch, and they're losing so many guys in free agency because of the salary cap. So I have a really hard time believing that 2021 is going to be better than 2020, Richie.
Yeah, hard for me to believe that too because the offensive line. Getting old, they need a couple starters there. There's no way Villanueva comes back. They're going to need a left tackle. Maybe it's Zach Banner. What about David DeCastro? Is his career over? And you look at the receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster's gone. They need another receiver. They need a running back for sure, right? So there's a lot of holes to fill right now. And I don't think they're going to be as good as they were this year, have a good as a team. There's no way I think they win 12 games next year is basically what I'm saying. Probably you agree with it, too. Let's go up to Herb from Renfro. How you doing, Herb?
Hey, Herb.
Hi, Rich. Hi, Richie and Andrew. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I want to know, what do you guys think the chance of Big Ben finishing his career with another team that puts him in a better position to be successful?
Herb,
Like
you know what? That's a good question, Pony. I didn't even think of that. I always thought it was just going to be he's going to play this year with the Steelers or he's going to retire. I mean, do you think there's a chance that he potentially could play with another team?
Yeah, I mean, Phillip Rivers played with the Colts. It's not completely out of look, Joe Montana, Chiefs, Tom Brady's with the Buccaneers right now, Peyton Manning's in Denver, Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas. I mean, all these guys played for another team. Brett Favre played for 2 more after Green Bay. Sure, it's possible. Now, Ben has always said, if it's not the Steelers, it's no one. But if he still thinks he can play, and the Steelers say no, we're not going to do the $41 million cap hit. This is the number that we believe in. Take it or leave it. And he says, no, thank you. Well, then maybe one of these other quarterback-hungry teams would take him. But, with Rivers, Richie, he played in Frank Reich's offense in San Diego. Reich was the offensive coordinator there for a few years. Where does Ben go? There's no real familiar system out there for him. There's not another team with an offensive coordinator, with an offensive coach that he's worked with. So I think he's kind of boxed in. I would actually be very surprised if he played for another team. The only one that would make a little bit of sense for me is Denver, because John Elway obviously brought in Peyton Manning, and his buddy Mike Munchak is there too.
Yeah, obviously Bruce Arians does not need a quarterback. Let's go out to Michael in Indiana. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I've got some trade conversation here. I know it's before the draft, but you guys up for it?
Yeah, let's go. Got a couple minutes.
All right. So, Deshaun Watson to the Steelers.
Not going to happen.
They want 2 young draft starters. They want 2 young guys.
Yeah.
Right? So you got Minka, you got T.J. Watt, and you've got 2 first-round picks. What do you think about that?
Way too much, first of all. There's no way Deshaun Watson would ever come to Pittsburgh because, your salary cap right now for the quarterback position, your salary is $40 million, right? $41 million. If you brought in a guy like Deshaun Watson, it's going to go up to $60 million because you have to cut Ben, still play that, $20 million right there, and then add $40 million to it. Plus, I like Minka and T.J. Watt. I understand Deshaun Watson is a good quarterback, but if they do what Pony and I were talking about, they might be awful, and they might be able to draft a guy that's better than Deshaun Watson.
Well, I think that's really hard to do. I think Deshaun Watson's one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the entire NFL, Richie. His cap hit is actually pretty low for 2021. It's 2022 where it makes a big jump. I mean, look, that would be a king's ransom, those 2 defensive guys, all pros, in 2 first-round picks. But let me ask you this, Richie. If you could trade those 4 things for Patrick Mahomes, would you do it?
I guess. I mean, you're talking about the
yes
best
or no?
quarterback. Yes, I would. An impact player, a guy that's going to win maybe 2 or 3 more Super Bowls. Yes.
I got to be honest with you. I think Watson's the next best guy.
Do you really?
Because I think Aaron Rodgers is better, but he's 37 years old. Watson's only 25. I mean, I think he's going to be a guy you can win a Super Bowl with for the next 10 years. I mean, it would be really hard for me to pull the trigger on that trade, the one that the caller brought up.
2 first-round draft picks, Minka and T.J. Watt. That's unreal. That's unbelievable. I can't. I would never do that, I don't think.
Well, what are you doing with those guys right now? What good did Minka and T.J. Watt do you against the Browns?
But then you're losing 2 first-round draft picks, too, on top of that. Maybe a first-round draft pick in one of those guys. I don't know.
Where are those first-round picks?
They might be
late
high.
In the first round?
They might be high without guys like Minka Fitzpatrick and T.J. Watt.
Well, maybe. I mean, I look at Deshaun Watson.
Would you do that trade for Deshaun Watson? The trade that the caller brought up. You would?
Probably. I mean, it would be really. It would be a. It's an even trade. I mean, that's a very fair trade. I think for a quarterback like that at 25 years old, you're going to have a chance to win Super Bowls with him for a very long time. I can't say the same. I thought Minka had a disappointing year. I mean, he was still good.
Hey, we got to take a break, Pony. We might not have any time coming back, but I think it's a ridiculous trade. We'll have a couple seconds when we come back to finish this thought.